What's going on, everyone? So, Rajon Rondo is officially joining the Milwaukee Bucks to kind of pursue, or at least gauge, a potential coaching career. At this time, based on the reports that have came out, time recording this video, Rondo is in an unspecified role. So, could be player development, could be potentially one of the assistants on the bench. Just kind of trying to get his toes wet, try to see, is that really the path that he wants to take? According to what Rivers told Rondo, as Rondo recalled to ESPN on Thursday, get your behind to camp. Used another word, but trying to keep it family friendly. But yeah, so again, Rondo is apparently on an unspecified role, kind of teased the idea of joining a coaching staff. And, there was a lot of talks about potentially the Los Angeles Lakers, right? There were even kind of little buzz at one point. But Rondo, dating back to April, it looks like, that he absolutely hopes to be an NBA coach someday, is what he was quoted as saying. There's a lot of factors that go into coaching. Rondo said, you just can't say, I'm going to be a coach, and then everything works out, and that's how it happens. So certain personalities have to mesh, and there's a lot of sacrifice. There are certain things that I'm learning, the mornings, meetings, and the amount of hours you're spending watching film. It's a lot. So, again, this is something that Rondo has kind of flirted with towards the tail end of his career. One of the greatest basketball minds this game has ever seen. Him and LeBron were spectacular in that 2020 run. Just their IQs and the way that they were able to kind of approach the season, as well as particularly the playoffs, because that's where Rondo and playoff Rondo really emerged, kind of became something. Also, it was funny hearing Rondo kind of break down him and LeBron's conversations, where he talked about how LeBron and Rondo, they weren't trying to beat the players, they were trying to beat the coach, right? It was like, hey, if we play Miami, LeBron, you got Spo. If we end up playing, the Celtics, right? Like, it was cool to kind of see them explore and break down, like, hey, depending on who we end up playing, I got the other one, right? I either got Brad Stevens or you got, Spo, and just that level of mind, right? You're not trying to beat the players. You're trying to outsmart the coach. These are two guys that have had the stories from players told of, them breaking up plays before they even start, or helping the other team, like, hey, you're supposed to be here, you're running this set, right? Like, those kind of players are just ridiculous. But obviously, this is a Laker channel. Why am I talking about it on the Laker channel? Something he went and signed with the Milwaukee Bucks. And it's because of how much kind of, smoke there was about Rondo potentially joining the coaching staff. Him kind of being a part. And there was even points where the conversation was, do they end up hiring Rondo? Right? Like, even before the JJ Redick idea, or like even when that first started coming to light, and it was like, oh, JJ could potentially emerge as a head coaching candidate. What about Rondo? Right? Rondo wanted to be a head coach. LeBron respects Rondo. Rondo is one of the few players that LeBron, basketball mind wise, trusts and looks at as like one of his equals. That Rondo, his personality, his kind of demeanor, how would that translate to coaching? But it is something that the Lakers could probably really need. And then, even when we got JJ Redick as a head coach, it was still like, no, hey, why not bring Rondo on as an assistant? Why not bring Rondo on as just another meeting of the minds type thing? Especially because JJ Redick talked heavily about how he wanted a collection of minds. He wanted a collection of coaches that, later on, he ended up saying that was basically crazy like himself, right? That was, very meticulous and very, calculated and everything in the approach to the game, and very organized and attention to detailed, right? Detail oriented. And Rajon Rondo is one of those guys. So he would have fit in perfectly, and just to have that, again, that collection of minds that could come in, right? JJ Redick, even while we're going through training camp and stuff, has talked about the coaching staff and how much him and the rest of the coaching staff have really kind of work together to kind of round out the system and the program and come up with the type of schemes offensively and defensively that work for this team. To kind of have a guy like Rondo and his IQ and his brain and his knowledge, I think would have went a long way. Plus his connection to the Lakers, playing with the Lakers, winning a championship with the Lakers. Obviously, Rondo went to the Milwaukee Bucks because his relationship with Doc Rivers, and playing under Doc and winning a championship under Doc, their dynamic and their relationship, which has kind of been a bit of a roller coaster at times over the years, but they've always had that kind of love and admiration for each other. And so that it makes sense that he would kind of go somewhere where he could kind of learn from some familiarity, right? Learn from something, but also it'd be nice to maybe get Rondo later on down the road. Right, like, again, he's in an unspecified role. Doesn't necessarily mean he's on, like, an assistant role or anything like that. But, kind of let him learn under Doc. Because the thing is, you could argue, like, okay, if we bring Rondo in, right, now you not only have a head coach that is inexperienced, but now one of your assistants is completely inexperienced. Right? So I do understand the idea of like, hey, let's get as much experience on the bench as possible. That way, he kind of guide JJ Redick. But I would love to see a couple years from now, right? Once Nate McMillan and Scott Brooks potentially kind of decide to go other directions, or, even, say Lindsey Harding ends up going into a different role or a bigger role, or she departs, right? You kind of, one of these coaches kind of decide, hey, I'm going to go elsewhere. And Rondo's got a little experience under his belt. Maybe he is like the second or third assistant, and it's like, hey, we could use a main assistant. Like, let's give Rondo a shot. JJ Redick's more comfortable. He's got the reins. He understands what it takes to coach at the NBA level. He's doing well. He's looking good, right? And you start to gain that confidence in JJ to where it's like, man, it would be great to bring in a guy like Rondo, and you can kind of spend the time. You can let a team like Milwaukee kind of take the gamble, and then at some point maybe bring Rondo in and kind of swoop him up and be like, hey, instead of being the third assistant behind, Doc Rivers and Darvin Ham, why don't you come and be the main assistant behind JJ Redick? And now you can kind of take that next step and then eventually move into the actual head coaching position. Assuming that no team comes in and swoops him up for a head coaching spot. I mean, it's very possible that a team kind of takes the gamble, especially if a guy like JJ Redick does well. I think that'll encourage more just teams to kind of take chances on these basketball minds and former players. I mean, you look at guys that have had success, right, in year one. Ty Lue, Steve Kerr are names that come to mind that, like, out the gate really kind of shaped and were able to win championships. There have been other kind of rookie year head coaches that have really kind of stepped in and been great. You look at, like, even going back, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, right? There's a history of guys that have in year one kind of came out and just been great. And so to me, it's like, I could see if JJ Redick has a really good run and, the Lakers are really good or even potentially win, right? That a team might go, you know what? Hey, let's take a flyer on a guy like Rondo. Like, instead of cycling through the same old coaches, right? Let's try to take a gamble on a guy, which basically what the Lakers did. It's like, okay, we can keep going through the same old coaching cycle, or we can kind of take a gamble here with a guy that has the basketball mind but just doesn't have the coaching experience, and maybe we can kind of mold him into that guy that can eventually get the experience, put some experience on the bench around him. Other teams kind of follow suit. Again, the NBA is a copycat league, so teams are always going to, if something is successful, kind of take the chance, take the gamble. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Are you disappointed that he went to the Milwaukee Bucks? And it's kind of funny. He's going to be with Darvin Ham as well, but also with the Milwaukee Bucks, supposedly, and there were reports that came out at the time that Darvin Ham went to the Bucks because he was supposed to take over for Doc Rivers whenever Doc Rivers decides to depart. So it's kind of like, hey, we're familiar with you, we like you. You know, you were supposed to take over for Budenholzer at some point. Come here, play with Doc, and then kind of step into that role. So Rondo could at some point go, hey, I'm not going to be able to get the opportunity here. Let me go elsewhere. Or maybe even when Doc leaves, he's like, the only reason I'm really here is because of Doc. And maybe Jeannie and the Lakers can kind of be like, hey, come over here. Again, how you feel, whatever your thoughts are. I love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. And that subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.